Okay, hey, welcome back to the podcast, episode 2. This time with less people screaming over top of each other, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Who's here today? I'm Nolan.
I'm Dustin.
And I'm Tangi.
And I'm drinking water.
As you should be.
It's important, yeah.
It's very
Are you
important.
drinking your water today, audience?
I hope they are. Water makes up like 92% of the human body, so like you should, you know.
If you haven't drank water yet, pause this podcast and go drink water.
Does that mean
Come back.
Turn off the podcast.
Does that mean
Turn
every
it
time we drink
off.
water, it's actually just cannibalism?
Yeah,
I think it's like...
No, okay, there's
No.
a thing actually. Okay, you give your thing first, but that's what
I was just gonna say, I think it's like 92% cannibalism.
It's possible. Yeah, I guess so. The human body, I don't know why I said 92. It's like 70% water. I know that the body is only like 70% water.
The human body is like 76% water.
It's like, yeah.
If I remember correctly.
Right now I'm at like 80% because I've been drinking my water today.
That's good. How many glasses have you had?
3.
3? Nolan, Jesus.
You're supposed to have like 8 in a day.
I've had like 3 sips.
Yeah.
Yeah, drink more water.
Yeah, get hydrated. I had like 2 cups of coffee this morning and immediately felt the ill side effects. Like vertigo and dying and whatnot.
Yeah, those aren't good side effects.
I was going to say the interesting thing about cannibalism and water is that the way that like water gets recycled within our planet's atmosphere, like I don't remember what the paper was. They were talking about like how like particles of water that are inside of you were probably the same particles that were like inside of George Washington at some point. Like just that's how like water gets shared around.
Do you think we've all shared, like, a drink of water with more than 10 historical figures?
Like Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, like Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, probably.
Shia LaBeouf.
Shia LaBeouf.
We got our famous figures, you know, Abraham Lincoln, Albert Einstein, Mary Curie, George Washington, Shia LaBeouf.
Wait a minute. One of these things is not like the other.
It's only the essentials. Yeah, get George Washington out of there, man.
Yeah, dude, George Washington doesn't deserve to be up there.
George Washington was like 2% wood, I guess, because of his teeth. When you think about it.
I think a lot of people back in that time were like 2% wood because of their teeth.
I think they were cherry wood teeth.
They're just made of like wood and like dirt.
Oh Jesus!
They're like 12% sawdust back in those days, just because of injuries and like replaced bones.
Chomping down, and you just taste wood.
No, George Washington's teeth. This is becoming a history podcast. George Washington's teeth were made of walrus bone, or no, walrus tusk, I believe.
How did that man get
isn't
walrus
that technically
tusk?
ivory?
Is walrus tusk like a
ivory?
type of ivory?
It's
yeah.
either like keratin or ivory.
It's
That's generally
what was what our teeth are made out of, but it was like ground down and they made him like teeth out of it, and apparently his breath smelled awful all the time because he's got walrus in his mouth.
That's fair. Also, our teeth are made of bone, Nolan.
Yeah, you said keratin. You're the one that said keratin.
Yeah, keratin. Like, you know, elephants' tusks are generally made of like keratin and ivory.
Well, I thought
things like that.
I thought the tusks were like a form of tooth.
No.
No.
It's definitely different stuff.
Weird. I'm thinking of you know, narwhals. You know, their horn is
little
a
horn.
tooth. That's a tooth.
Yeah.
That like grows very strange. Isn't that weird? That's my first censor of the podcast.
No, technically the first censor of the podcast.
I could re-say it and then I could just cut around it. Isn't that freaking weird?
Isn't that whack?
Isn't that crazy, yo? There we go.
Whack.
Whack.
Nah, actually, I didn't know that.
I'm gonna put like infinite reverb on that whack when you say it. It's gonna like.
Well, he has to get super close to the mic first to do it, right?
Whack.
The audience is now deaf.
Definitely, yes. Definitely.
You're welcome.
So welcome back to the Star Wars podcast. It's time to discuss.
We talk about how Jar Jar Binks is definitely a Sith War.
Sith War.
Sith War.
I just
know
can't
what you
speak.
mean. No, I understand completely. Yeah, actually, that's a good conversation. What do you guys think about that?
So there's a thing that I've seen on Facebook so many times where it's like Rey and Poe and like Luke and Han and like all of them are under 6 feet, but like Kylo and all the Sith Lords, I'm blanking on all of them, are 6 feet and above, like the actors for them. Jar Jar is like 6'6".
What about Sidious? Sidious is like a short old man, I thought.
I think he was... Know. Hold on. Do you want me to... I'll Google this.
What is his name? Ian McDermott? Is Ian McDermott actually like 7 feet tall or something?
Yeah, he's like secretly 7 feet tall.
He's just, like,
I imagine he's probably like average height. I'm going to say he's probably 5'9".
I would be surprised if he's above 6 foot, but I could be wrong.
But yeah, like, there's just a joke when Leia's like, oh, aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper? It's because they're under 6 feet.
I got you. Everybody in Star Wars is freakishly tall. Wouldn't that be like a weird twist if like someone from our galaxy went to Star Wars and it turns out the whole time they're all like 20 feet tall, but they're all just very proportionate for their galaxy? We just didn't know. You know, when we go to Star Wars, of course.
Do you realize how big of those monsters would be if they're like 20 feet tall and they're just dwarfed?
20 feet tall is way bigger than you think. Like, you're like, 20 feet, that's like here to the end of the room. Like, that's big, man. 20 feet is scary.
20 feet to the end of the room? Yeah, it's like, yeah, that's when they're laying down. When they're standing up, now you're like, taking your head up and you're just like...
Ian McDermott is only 5'10".
I was close.
So he's not a real Sith Lord.
I was close. I said 5'9".
He's not a Sith Lord?
He's not a real Sith Lord.
Oh, he was a double agent. He was actually a good guy the whole time, and Jar Jar was evil.
He knew,
He blew up the galaxy just to gain Jar Jar's trust.
Yeah, exactly.
He blew up Alderaan as a ploy. Wow, he was deep undercover, man.
Yeah, he was. I mean, he's not tall enough to be a Sith Lord.
Apparently he was so deep, he kind of was like, that's just who he became.
Yeah, I guess so. So wait, what, do you guys believe the Darth Jar Jar thing, though?
From the theories I've seen and watched, I feel like Lucas might have had it in his head. Like, maybe that was a direction he wanted to go, maybe not. But, the such backlash to Jar Jar made him rethink it.
Yeah.
Because the thing is also if you with that you'd have to resolve that entire you'd have to, or maybe not resolve the entire thing, but there have to be some sort of resolution to it within the first 3 films because he's never brought up in 4, 5, and 6. So it'd be kind of hard to be like, now you have this one Sith Lord, but why weren't they mentioned in 4, 5, and 6? And if you didn't have a complete resolution in 3 with either him dying or some sort of other...
Sinks back into the shadows.
I feel like he
whatever else, it'd be like weird, because then it's like, now you have this plot point that hasn't been resolved, and everyone's like, where?
Luke,
why?
Did you ever hear the tale of Darth Jar Jar?
Miss, I'm gonna kill you!
Darth Jar Jar was a powerful Sith Lord in 12 BBY. Star Wars is cool. Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think that, like, based on interviews and stuff, and especially the way that George talked about him at the time, he would always say stuff like I can't remember what the interview was for exactly. There's a good video out there that's just, like, a compilation of all the, like, evidence, quote-unquote. But he says something along the lines of, like, Jar Jar is an interesting character because while you think that, like, he essentially just says that Jar Jar is, like, a misdirection. He, like, heavily implies that there's, like, misdirection going on with Jar Jar. And whether that just means that, like, he's clumsy and, like, gets lucky when it comes to, like, I don't know, winning a war or whatever. Like,
yeah,
it also sounds like... It sounds very insidious in the way he says it. And if you watch, like, episode 1, there's scenes where, like, Jar Jar will, like, talk under his breath. Like, his mouth will move, and then someone else will say something, and you're like... Did he just, like, mind trick that guy? Like, what the hell just happened? Like, it's very weird.
I also saw a scene that someone analyzed or whatnot. It was, when they're in Phantom Menace, when they're on Coruscant, closer to the end of the movie, when they're kind of invading, that there's a point where Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, like, fall from the bridge or whatnot behind the droids, and Jar Jar kind of, like, slips and grabs on. From where he's at, that you would actually be able to... Where he fell in the next shot was way further over, so it's like, wait, how did he go from here to way over into this corner? Oh, yeah. He would have had to, like, move all the way over and then fall, or something like that. I can't remember, but I do remember that was a scene that people were pointing to. It's really like, that takes, like, the speed that you saw at, like, the very beginning of the movie when they kind of bolt.
And it's hard to think that I don't know, like, that could just be a simple, like
oh yeah, editing mistake.
consistency error, but also
Yeah.
it's like, I don't know, that's the thing, is it's like...
It's George Lucas, so like that could have been a
Lucas is
completely...
Batman.
That
Yeah.
could have, like, if he had that plan and he wanted to be subtle about it, that could have been a way. Then people could have... And then he could have also been like, oh, it was just an editing mistake at the time. That way, you know, by episode 2, if his plans were going through, people would be like... Wouldn't be suspicious about it.
Alright, what do you think, Tangi? Wrap this up.
I mean, I feel pretty much the same. I haven't watched nearly as many conspiracy theories as you guys probably. Simply because I was never, like, super big into Star Wars. Like, yeah, I'm a Star Wars nerd. I've seen every movie and everything like that. But, like, I don't know. Jar Jar could definitely be one, but at the same time, I feel like he's too clumsy and stupid. But
That's genius.
yeah, I was gonna say, but at the same
Jar
time,
Jar
that
is
could
the
also
key
just
to
be a
all this.
front.
It's a much funnier character than we've had before, so said George. I got pictures of Jar Jar on my wall with big red string going to all these
Oh,
newspaper
yeah.
clippings
I
trying to connect the
Although
dots.
I feel bad for the actor who played Jar Jar.
Yeah, luckily he's been doing a lot better. Like, it seems like the fans have really warmed up to him lately, but, like, that poor guy.
What happened?
He went through so much torment.
There
like,
were because everyone at the time just was like, Jar Jar is the worst character in Star Wars.
Yeah.
And like they just kept going at it, and so like the actor really took that hard, and it put him in, like, I've seen interviews and it put him in like a really dark place, and it's only been recently that people have been kind of being nicer about it or whatnot. I don't know if it's because in general people are realizing that it's like, okay, it's probably not a good idea to just bash it like we have been doing, or have people have done it in the past.
It doesn't make any sense either. It's like, that's just an actor, you know? He
Exactly.
didn't invent the character.
Yeah.
He didn't write the character into the movie. He just got paid to act the character out.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. It's just misguided. I don't know. I never hated Jar Jar.
I never did
Neither
either.
did I. him.
I actually enjoyed it. I understand why, but probably because I was a kid when I saw it, so I didn't really have like that critical brain to be like, oh hey, look, this character isn't well written or whatever. It's just like, I just saw a character that was funny, and I was like, haha, funny character, I enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly. No,
And that just stuck with me.
the thing with Star Wars is like, or with the prequels rather, is that while they're by no means like anywhere near as good as the originals, and I think that's like a pretty universally held truth, like, they're not as awful as people say. You know what I mean? I like the prequels. I think a lot of people do, and I think a big part of that is just that people grew up with them. And I think that's the thing with the original trilogy, too, is like, the original trilogy is great, but I don't think that the prequels deserve as much hate as they get. You know what I mean? It's just that they exist within the same universe as those ones, so they're so easy to compare to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're great though. There's so many problems with the prequels, but like, they're entertaining at least.
Yeah, and that's the thing I've seen a lot of people say about the prequels. It's like, now that the people who saw them in theaters or saw them when they were kids, maybe a couple years after they came out, now that they're getting older and they have more of a voice, they're being like, oh, you know, they weren't all that bad or whatnot. They still don't say like, oh no, they're really good movies or whatnot, but they're like, they're probably not as bad as people make them out to be. But the people who saw the originals in theaters or whatnot, or when they were growing up, when then they saw the prequels, those are the ones that are like, no, they're garbage, they're really terrible, whatever. So like, and the thing is that we're kind of seeing that with the sequel movies too. Is I'm in the camp that I'm like, I mean, I enjoy watching them because they are Star Wars, but I don't really enjoy them nearly as much as the prequels or the original trilogy.
Yeah.
But there's the kids that have seen them, that's going to be their Star Wars. That's going to be the stuff that they're like, that, you know, in, 15, 20 years, they're going to be like, they weren't all that bad or as bad as people were saying.
It's absolutely going to be that.
Yeah, I definitely, like, I actually enjoyed the newest movies that have come out. Like, again, I'm not big on Star Wars lore, I'm not big on any of that stuff, so I'm just like, I can enjoy a good movie when it's there, even if it doesn't necessarily follow the lore of the other movies or anything like that, or, I don't know, people have been complaining about things like that.
It's interesting because I totally feel like my parents' generation did with the prequels, because like, when the sequels, like, I kind of have warmed up to them a lot more, but, like, every time the sequels, like, a new movie came out, like, I just, like, strongly disliked them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think the only one that I really wasn't, like, against, like, when it came out was, The Force Awakens, but, like, even that one, like, in hindsight, I'm like, I don't like this movie, but it's exactly what, like, my parents went through when the prequels came out, you know?
Yeah.
Because they had the original Star Wars, they're like, this is our Star Wars, and the prequels came out, and they're like, this is not the same. And then the exact same thing is happening, but, I mean, I don't know. It's different, of course. The movies all range in quality. I think the sequels are probably, like, the worst of them all. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a different discussion.
I enjoyed the sequels, though, but I think the one that I really didn't like the most, though, was, what was it, The Rise of Skywalker, the last one that they came out with. Simply because I didn't like the ending.
No,
Like, the ending was so
Yeah.
cliche, and,
it didn't
like,
feel right.
like, he dies, like, I
Spoiler.
Like, I don't know.
spoiler,
They all
spoiler,
die.
y'all.
Spoiler, they all die. Everyone
but-
dies.
Other than that,
died.
I actually did enjoy going to the movie theater and watching them, but I also don't watch things based off of, like, what they used to be. Like, I'm a huge book nerd, so I've seen a lot of movie adaptations and everything like that, so, like, anybody out there who's read Percy Jackson or anything,
Oh, God.
the Percy Jackson books are great. Love Rick Riordan as an author, but the movie, like, one of the main characters, she's not blonde when she's supposed to be, you know? Things like that are thrown off. Personally, that movie's not a bad movie if you don't want, like, if you haven't read the book.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
There's actually 2 Percy Jackson movies.
yeah, I know, and neither of them are bad if you haven't read the books. But people who have read the books know that it's, you know, not how it's supposed to be. If they had slapped a different title on, I think it would have been a lot better and would have done a lot better.
Can't believe C-3PO killed Kylo Ren.
Oh, I know, right? Dude, crazy.
Yeah. No, I
I
just...
did not expect Anakin to crawl out of the lava, though. And, like, stranglehold the Emperor like that. That was crazy. That was crazy.
I didn't know a ghost could actually, like, choke someone out.
Yeah, I didn't think that, I didn't think Jedi could use, like, laser beams either. Like, that was crazy. All that stuff with, like, Rey, like, dear God.
Dude, they just added so many things.
There's so many new
so
lore
much new
elements.
lore.
There were
Like,
2 Death Stars this time.
I know.
and it seems like there was, like, where they were at, there was, like, a crossover, because Indiana Jones was there.
Yeah, I saw
Dude,
him.
was it Indiana
I thought
Jones?
that was him. And I thought it was weird because it was, like, Harrison Ford. I don't know. It was just strange. I don't know.
It might have just been
was
Harrison
weird.
Ford. It might not have been Indiana Jones. It might have just been Harrison Ford.
It's very weird.
Dude, Harrison
The whole thing was
Ford
weird.
makes an appearance as Harrison Ford.
He's here.
He's canon in the Star Wars universe now,
He
guys.
didn't want to put on the outfit for that movie at all.
He literally just showed up in bunny slippers and, like, a nightgown.
guys
Little, like,
noticed-
robe.
You guys noticed, like, all the movies that Harrison Ford is in recently? He's just always in, like, a gray t-shirt. It's like, they were like, please do the movie, Harrison. And he's like, I'll put on a shirt, but that's all you're getting. And, like, that's just, like, what they did. Like, he doesn't...
Yeah. Yeah, and when I was watching the sequels for Star Wars, I had a theory. Because I actually had Episode 7, spoilers. Again, if you haven't seen Episode 7, click away now.
It's the one
But
where 3PO kills
when-
Kylo.
Yeah, when Han Solo ends up getting killed, I had that spoiled free in a YouTube comment. I thought maybe it was just, YouTube troller, and I was like, dang.
Oh, I had
But-
that happen with Avengers.
Ooh,
With,
yeah.
like, the last scene of Avengers Endgame.
I
man.
kind of had something similar.
I
It wasn't
wondered
quite
that.
as overt as I thought that, like, as it could have been stated, but
Yeah.
still spoilers. But I had that spoiled for me, and then when I saw that, then my first immediate reaction to it was, my theory was that, they're gonna kill one of each of the original cast members each movie.
Yeah.
Which ended up happening. I mean, the order I had was, at that point, Han, Leia, then Luke, which...
Did
it
Leia
was...
die in the last one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Dude, I, like, haven't seen those movies
We're
since
gonna
they
spoil
came out
them.
in...
We're gonna spoil
That's
them
also
all.
why I said spoiler way beforehand.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Yeah.
Okay, just
But-
assume this whole podcast is spoilers from here on
Yeah.
out. For
Also-
all the Star Wars.
But
Hold on. How do you
wanna
think
look
Mia's gonna feel knowing that we've sat here for 20 minutes already talking about Star Wars.
We could change the subject.
No, this is fine. This is fine.
Let's talk about a different Lucasfilm property. What do you guys think of them doing a new Indiana Jones?
I've never seen any of them.
How dare you?
I'm sorry.
Second of all,
I think you'd like them.
I think I would too.
The thing is like, with how everyone's reaction was to the Crystal Skull, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, I feel like people are not are going in this one with a grain of salt.
Yeah, they really got to do something spectacular because Crystal Skull was not quite there. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel.
And the thing is like, what are they gonna do with Shia LaBeouf's character? Because he's his kid, so like
pretend he doesn't exist.
Like either I don't know what they're gonna do for that. So it's like I'm curious on how they're gonna go about. I'm curious on it because and I'll watch it because it's Indiana Jones, and even though if it's not a good movie, I still enjoy them, which is the thing about like the Star Wars movies as well. Is I can some people might be like, oh, they're bad. Okay, I can acknowledge they could be bad, but that doesn't mean I enjoy them any less.
It's like, I think Indiana Jones is just one of those characters where, like, he's not really meant to settle down and have a family, so, like, the way that they ended Crystal Skull kind of can't do anything beyond that. I think the only route they're going to go, plus with Harrison Ford being, like, 97, is they're going to do, like, young Indiana Jones, probably. Or they'll just recast him as someone younger.
I know, and then people will throw a fit like they did with Solo, when they were like, hey...
Maybe they'll use him.
God, I can't remember his name.
I don't know.
I want to say, like...
For movies,
I want to say it's, like, Alden or Elrich.
Alden Ehrenreich?
Or something like that?
Yeah,
I can't remember,
like
but, like, I also don't think he did a terrible job.
No, he did fine.
I honestly enjoyed Solo.
Solo was alright.
Yeah, Solo and Rogue One are definitely
I saw a video where they deep faked Harrison Ford onto the actor for Solo, but it wasn't his voice, so it was like a young Harrison Ford's face deep faked onto him with the voice, and it didn't look terrible, but I do think it looked slightly weird.
I'm gonna
just because I have seen
Mandalorian in a minute here.
How about no?
You don't. Oh,
I haven't seen the Mandalorian.
Don't look at anything for that.
There's been a few things I've been spoiled on,
Dustin.
like the most recent end of
Season 2.
Yeah,
that got spoiled for you.
Well, because
memes and shit.
Honestly, there was just a lot. Like, there was just a massive storm of stuff that came out, and it was at this point it was basically impossible to miss. And then I saw there's a few things that I saw on it that were, when I thought about it, I'm like, that's actually kind of depressing.
There's some, I'd say there's some depressing stuff in The Mandalorian, but what are you talking about specifically? We're gonna spoil The Mandalorian.
Yeah, so...
What are you talking about? What are you
well, because I know at the end of it, Luke shows up and takes Baby Yoda,
Yeah,
Grogu.
people were talking so much crap about the CGI for that.
He looks bad.
I honestly didn't mind it.
His face looks
because,
bad.
I understand it's hard to CGI actual people.
Better. They made it look better.
Actually, I saw a comparison. They deepfaked it. There were parts of the deepfake that look better than the CGI, but there was parts of the CGI that looked better than the deepfake.
There's just
off. Like the people are never going to be happy.
The lighting is wrong.
I think it's because they so desperately want to keep the originals intact with, using Mark Hamill or Carrie Fisher or Harrison Ford's with deepfakes like that or CGI recreations, when one of the characters, one actor that people have said, could play a young Luke is Sebastian Stan.
I do know.
Winter Soldier.
Oh, he can play.
He's kind of got the same facial structure and whatnot, and Mark Hamill's already said he would probably make a great young Luke because he looks like him and he could probably pull it off. And people were wondering why they didn't get him to do it, because he's also expressed interest in playing young Luke.
It probably cost a lot.
It might be. I have no idea if it's just cheaper to do
I feel
CGI
like it would
recreation.
Cost less to get
him.
It's
probably cheaper with CGI.
But,
just get some guy to stand there. Okay, I will say Luke wasn't bad. He wasn't bad. I don't mind his face because Luke was there. But it's weird. I don't know.
It's the same thing that happened with almost all of their CGI renditions. Is there's something about it. It doesn't look bad. It just something looks off about it that makes it doesn't seem human, which is what bugs people. It's that uncanny valley part where it looks real, but you also know it's not real. So like your brain doesn't know where to go, because if it's obviously fake, your brain knows, okay, it's obviously fake, and then you got your suspension of disbelief. But if it's real, it's like, okay, I know it's real, so you don't really need to do anything. But when it's in that weird little limbo and it keeps kind of bouncing back and forth between it, your brain just kind of goes and explodes.
Yeah, he looks fine sometimes, and then when he talks, it just looks.
That's the thing is it was like the CGI lips were better, but the deep fake like expression in the eyes looked better.
Yeah,
that's what a lot of people I saw on like that comment on that YouTube video that whoever did that was like a lot of the comments I saw. So it's if you could combine them to have that, that'd be great, or hire another actor. But the thing I saw with it is like, it's like, okay, Luke takes Grogu away, and I don't know the entire circumstance that happens around that, other than he shows up and takes Grogu. But
it was a cool ending.
But some people were like, well, depending, I mean, obviously, you got to see what happens in Mandalorian Season 3, which I think is supposed to air in 2022 or whatnot.
Yeah.
So it's a ways away. But the people were saying, it's like, well, obviously, if there's no more to that story in The Mandalorian for Baby Yoda, would be, well, Luke takes him to get trained. Well, we know what happens to all of his students.
Kylo squares up.
Exactly. So it's kind of like we had this character who could have really cool, unique potential with Grogu and having that race exist again inside the universe. But if he just disappears and it's like, oh, Episode 7 happens, well, he's dead, son.
Did anybody else get a very vivid image of Kylo Ren, like, punting the baby? As soon as he grabbed him.
Like,
I got that.
I did now.
Immediately, I was like, that's Luke. He's taking the baby. Oh, no.
I definitely immediately got an image of just, like, Grogu getting punted across the floor by Kylo. Like, little baby Kylo just...
You better not, Kylo. You leave that baby alone.
Yeah, no, but I saw some comments on that. I'm like, yeah, that does kind of put a damper on the whole Baby Yoda thing.
Unless they're writing the sequels, like is heavily theorized, but I don't think Disney would do. I don't know.
Disney does not have a knack for doing that.
I think the thing is,
they have the money for it, but I don't think they'll be able to do it correctly, because they tried to do the sequels, and it just seems like the direction they want to go isn't the direction that fans wants to see it.
Here's what I think will happen. Disney is either going to steer clear of it altogether and like end these shows sometime just before the sequels start, or they'll dive headfirst into it. I don't think they're going to retcon it, because I just think it's a bad idea in general. People hate the sequels, but not everyone hates the sequels. And the fact of the matter is, if you take and get rid of them, you're alienating, even if it's a small chunk, a chunk of your audience. I think with a director like Dave Filoni, like they have, Dave Filoni is excellent because he doesn't take like the prequels and like try to retcon them or anything. And he doesn't take the original trilogy and try to retcon them so that like the prequels work or whatever. He's very good at taking both sides and mixing them together. He's good at embracing everything, whether it's like the weird novels or the comic books or whatever, And I think that as long as we have him, like even if we do get into sequel territory, like it'll be fine.
Well,
I think it'll be
so
good.
There's also a thing though. Like the Luke that showed up was super young, but the Luke with Kylo is older, and like. Probably
this was only
like
6 years after
is it
Return
only
of
6?
the Jedi. Yeah.
Okay, and I don't know how far along the sequel is.
It's like 35 years.
Is it 35? It's like
so
35 or 40 years.
There's
after.
still time for Grogu to obviously mature and everything like that. So there is a possibility that Grogu wouldn't be there when Kylo, goes off on his little angsty teen rampage.
Kylo punched
just like his granddad.
But I feel like that's probably how that will go. Is that Grogu either ends up going back with the Mandalorian and everything like that, or it'll just completely miss the sequel by like maybe 5-10 years, something
Green
like
little
that.
shish kebab.
Yeah.
Kylo Ren takes after his grandfather in so many ways.
He's like, this feels right. I don't know what it is. As he's burning down the temple. Something's right here. Yeah, that'd be hilarious.
Ben, what are we gonna do?
Ben!
Oh no.
Stop it, Ben! Yeah.
Speaking of like waiting for series to come out, is anybody excited for Witcher? The Witcher season 2?
I've never played any of the games.
Well, the show.
I've never watched the show.
You've got to watch the show. The show is actually really good.
I've heard it's good.
I'm super excited for the second season though, because where it left off was a really good point for either leaving it there or actually continuing on. Granted, I haven't played any of the games, so I don't know how well it follows the games.
I don't think it really follows the games, actually. I think it, like, it's probably more telling...
I think is what it mildly does, is kind of, but I don't know.
I think it's more following the books and which the games were after, because the games kind of give you more of that freedom of choice to pursue what you want.
Were they based on books?
Yeah, the Witcher games are actually based on the Witcher books.
Heard the Witcher books are terrible to read, because simply,
well,
like...
you hate reading, so...
Yeah.
And I can't read, so...
No, but, like, I hear that the splits between characters and everything, that is not very clear. You never know whose character you're reading right now, or
Weird.
It's never done properly, and it's always just like a mess when you go and read it, and so a lot of people don't enjoy it because it's not
a video game.
not well done.
You can't press X to jump.
Yeah, no,
Press
no,
X
you
to
can't.
doubt.
They
But
pick up the book, they're like, this isn't a video game. No, I understand that. I would like to try them at some point.
I haven't tried reading them
They're
either.
expansive games.
Yeah?
Yeah, like, a lot of, like, from what I've seen, The Witcher 2 is, like, The Witcher 1 is weird because it's a good game, but from what I've seen, it was, like, they were still trying to figure out what they wanted to do with the game, and then The Witcher 2 is where it really got good and kind of gameplay and everything, and then The Witcher 3, I remember when it came out, people were like, this is, like, the greatest game ever.
I started playing a little bit of The Witcher 3, and, like, personally, it wasn't for me. But there's also the fact of I don't play a lot of solo player games in the general. I honestly just didn't like how weird the movements were for me. Like, riding a horse and everything like that seemed really odd, and
like
not
Skyrim odd.
I've never played Skyrim, so I can't tell you.
Can you ascend mountains?
I didn't get too far into it simply because I wasn't too fond of the gameplay and the controls and everything like that. But like, it seemed like an okay game for storyline at least.
Alright. I'll try them at some point.
Yeah.
Maybe. Sometime. I don't know. There's like a billion
I would
games
suggest
I'd like
watching
to
it
play,
at least.
but like, I'll try watching it probably
I have
first.
I have a backlog of so many RPGs.
Yeah.
That's my problem. It's like, yeah, I would love to play The Witcher 2 and The Witcher 3. Maybe more just so The Witcher 3. But that game's got a good amount of extra content for it.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's probably, with all the extra content, it's probably a good 120 hours.
Yeah.
To do everything. And it's like, that's a long time to play a game. I mean, I'm no stranger to spending 120 hours on an RPG.
I don't want to talk about the amount of hours I have in one of mine.
Which one?
I might have about 1,500 hours in Rainbow Six Siege.
Oh.
Probably closer to 1,600 now.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Cool?
it's like...
Crazy?
The thing is like,
Good.
I have...
Yes.
It's there.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
there.
I think the most I have in a single game is Destiny 2. I think I've got like 1,300 or 1,400 hours.
Yeah, and this guy plays Destiny a lot. He talks about it pretty much almost every day.
He plays Destiny so much that he understands the lore, and no one knows the Destiny lore.
Except for the lore masters, who, I don't know,
masters.
the lore masters for Destiny 2 are like really fantastic at what they do, and they're really good at like coming up with theories and
Oh
whatnot.
god,
They
you
were
got him on the
banished
topic.
years ago.
You got him on the topic.
Well,
Closer
it's
to
like,
Destiny.
but I don't know why, but it seems like at least the more well-known lore masters in the community that people tend to flock to are British.
That's because British people are just weird and like to sit there and seemingly involve. Stop laughing at me.
Oh, we just alienated all the British people.
No,
Sorry.
I
I'm trying
appreciate
not to alienate the British people. That's why I'm laughing.
Like, I'm not trying to knock it too. It's just one of those things to where like it was something that I had really noticed, and so I was like, huh. But they have really good voices for like just hearing them just list off like the lore. So that's why I kind of know it, is because they make it easy to like listen to and understand it. And
That's why people flock to them.
Yeah.
British people have
Yeah.
very nice voices.
But
They do. I like their accent.
I
love
like
British.
their accent.
Yeah,
too.
I love
wish-
British.
I love the British.
and there's the alienation. There's no way.
Yeah.
But I think the fact that I have more hours in Rainbow Six Siege than he does in Destiny
Yeah, but
is
that's
mildly impressive.
well, that's just
Yeah.
Destiny 2. That's not counting
Yeah.
Destiny 1.
But I'm sitting here counting only that one game because it is only one game.
What game have I logged the most hours in? I think Dark Souls 1 I've probably logged the most hours. Either Dark Souls or like Smash Bros. Either for Wii U or Ultimate, they're probably about even as far as hours go. Because
Yeah.
that's like the go-to game. I think Dark Souls 1 I probably logged the most hours in. I think
You're crazy.
my
About how
original
much?
save file, which I haven't touched in like a couple of years at this point, but I think my first save file was at like 160 hours because I
There
ran
you
through it
go.
like 3 times or something.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The last game that I
Sometimes.
played that like I got a lot of hours into was Dragon Quest 11.
Yeah,
I put
you told me about that.
120 hours into it.
That's
Not
ridiculous.
all of that was actually playing. So it's closer to probably actual playtime of 100 hours.
Still pretty cool.
But that's
Yeah, it's
still
a
a lot. But like almost all of my backlog stuff is like 40 to 60 hours minimum. So it's like a bunch of Fire Emblem games, and
Oh,
Pokemon
God, Fire
games.
Emblem, I'd imagine, yeah.
Oh god. I got some.
Pokemon.
I mean, some of Legend.
Yeah.
Some of Legend of Zelda.
Hundreds of hours in Pokemon Yellow version. Like,
Yeah.
I played that game like constantly.
I don't
Alright.
take.
You were a kid once.
I have like
so.
I think I've
Yeah,
I've like
think so.
I have like 300
remember
hours
that.
logged onto
Jesus Christ.
Pokemon Ruby.
Whoa.
Yeah. And then I know
I'm still sad I can't finish my Pokemon game.
I know I broke the
Sorry.
counter, or I maxed the counter out in Pokemon Coliseum because it capped it at 99 hours and 59 minutes.
Wow. So you've got like so many
So
hours.
I don't know.
in
I
there.
don't actually know the accurate number of hours I spent playing
Hundreds.
Pokemon Coliseum, but it's a lot.
Hundreds.
I have a ton of hours in Pokemon, but like probably the shortest
Wow.
run games in my like backlog of list are like Legend of Zelda games, and even those aren't exactly short games either.
Yeah.
They're like probably 12 to 15 hours, maybe.
I think the shortest,
Except for maybe
like,
Breath of the Wild, which I now have and can play through, is probably longer than that.
I should look at that. I think I have like, I don't know how many hours I have in Breath of the Wild actually.
But like
I've never
I'm,
played a Zelda game and I really want to.
I'm
but
Zelda's fun. You'd like them.
I think the
All of
shortest like shortest amount of hours I have in a game that's like solo player and everything like that would be Jedi: The Fallen Order.
Oh, that game looks so much
It-
fun.
It is a lot of fun,
I
and
saw
I
that.
like genuinely enjoyed it. And I generally don't like solo player games
so
because it's
buggy
not
looking.
my.
I just know that
It actually isn't that buggy.
They fixed it.
Yeah.
A bunch. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Good.
Better
It's
than
been it
Cyber-
was super
better than
good. Honestly,
Cyberpunk.
I enjoyed
Yeah,
the
better
yeah, way better than
It's
Cyberpunk.
hilarious.
I enjoyed a lot of the like background story and like the lore because it takes place like right after Order 66 and everything, or like maybe 10 or so years after Order 66 happens and everything like that, because there's some flashbacks that happen during that time and everything. So
Oh, okay,
Yeah, I've
I
seen
didn't.
the story. I've seen people play through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
story of it is.
I
really
didn't want to
cool.
spoil anything for
Yeah,
you.
I thought
Oh,
the
it's
beginning
okay,
of
it's
the
been
I didn't
spoiled.
know if it was a flashback or if it was like at the very beginning of the game. The very beginning of the game, it takes place like as Order 66 is happening.
Actually, no. The very beginning of the game happens on a scrapyard, like work ship or anything like that. Like the main character's basically
It's like 4 years
imprisoned,
after
kind of,
something,
and
right?
Okay.
not 4 years because he's still a Padawan when Order 66 happens.
Yeah.
So
So I saw flashbacks.
so
I thought it was
he's
maybe the
like
beginning.
legitimately he is beginning his training, and you go through and you learn his training to learn new techniques.
Yeah.
Because like in the beginning, he basically doesn't remember most of his life as a Jedi, but he
Yeah, it's
still
like
has
he's
his.
repressed it, kind of a
Yeah,
thing.
that is exactly what happened.
I
Is he
love it.
repressed it because of the severity and like the terrible trauma that happened to him, because
I love
it is Order 66.
That Order 66 scene. It looks like really cool. They
It
did
was
that very
awesome.
well from what I've seen.
Yeah, I was.
It was my favorite part, honestly. Was,
everyone dying.
I
No,
love
the
very cool.
immersiveness. The immersiveness to it was great. That and the end scene. I enjoyed the end scene a lot. I don't know if you've seen anything of the end.
It's
Of
got...
what?
Wait, I don't want to spoil it
If
for
what
you.
Fallen Order?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I've seen that instant because I
Vader.
know
Yeah,
people
Vader.
people
So cool.
freaked out.
They did him so well because he's not like a boss fight. It's like just run from him.
Yeah, you
That's all
literally,
you can do. is
literally
run.
can't kill him.
Yeah, it's
like
great.
I tried to. I was like, you know what? Screw this. I'm gonna attempt to kill Vader right here, right now. And it was literally like you could get him like a certain like bar on his health or anything like
and then
that.
he just kills you.
Yeah, and then he would just kill you. Or, like, the game would just
great.
automatically be like, haha, insta-death.
You died.
There was
You're
another...
too close to him.
Yeah.
There was a thing, like, it's just, like, it's any time a character shows up, it's kind of, I don't know, for Final Fantasy VII Remake, I don't know if you guys care about that.
It's been spoiled for me.
I haven't seen
Well,
anything
like,
with it, but I don't really mind.
So, again, spoilers. Sephiroth shows up at the end of the remake, and you have to fight him, and people were like, oh, okay,
They rewrote
whatever.
it.
The music started playing, and everyone's faces that have played the original one were just immediately like, oh, no. Like, they're like, wait. They thought maybe it was just going to be, like, another cutscene or whatever, and then it just kept going, and they're like, oh, no, we're fighting him. This is not good. No.
Yeah.
It was I figured that was the same feeling people had when Vader showed up. They're like, oh no.
He's
and then
infamous, yeah.
some people immediately were like, I'm not fighting this, and some people were like, wait, are we fighting him? I don't think we can win this. So it's like I like that thing where it's just like, oh no, like even the character showing, like as soon as people heard the breathing, people were like,
shit.
oh no, we're screwed. Like just by the breathing, this character already is evoking enough fear to be like, oh, we need to get out of here now.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I enjoy scenes like that, though.
How Rogue One's ending.
Man, I was
still my favorite scene in all Star Wars.
I was before the Mandalorian season 2 finale aired,
Yeah.
people were already saying like, well, he's got to get Grogu to a Jedi by the end of the series, and people were one of the only characters that could have showed up could have been like Luke, Ahsoka, or everybody was saying Cal might show up. I was like,
dude,
please be Cal.
Yes.
Like that would be so great because Cal's just a dork. I don't know. I just would have loved it if he showed up, but he didn't. But that's okay. That's okay.
I was gonna say I don't know if anyone from Star Wars Rebels could have shown up.
I haven't
Ezra
seen that, so.
technically could have.
Ezra's
the main character from Star Wars Rebels. Have you guys seen Rebels?
No.
Do you guys want it spoiled?
I haven't. I don't exactly remember like all of what happens.
I don't care about spoilers.
You don't care?
Personally.
End of Star Wars Rebels. He is in a starship with Thrawn, and he's got Thrawn restrained, and the windows are all broken, and it's about to make the jump to light speed, and he essentially like sacrifices himself like to take out Thrawn and like this Star Destroyer, and it like takes off, and then we just like never see him again. Like it just like went to the unknown regions. But with Ahsoka saying that Thrawn is still alive, that means Ezra's probably still alive somewhere.
Yeah.
So everybody was theorizing that we would have gotten like live action Ezra Bridger to show up and grab Grogu, but that might happen later. I'm sure that'll happen in like the Ahsoka show. I'll bet that'll be the plot of that, you know.
Yeah, because I know Ahsoka showed up in Rebels, so it was like that whole connection between those characters. It
Yeah,
seems
a
like
lot of
it
people
might
were
make...
mad about the Ahsoka showing up, though.
I think they did her well. I think they
so
did her
too.
justice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen Clone Wars. I've seen bits and pieces of it. I've seen like chunks of episodes and whatnot, but
watch Clone Wars. You really like Clone
I've seen
Wars.
bits and pieces of like Rebels as well with some of the Ahsoka stuff. So it was like I feel like Ahsoka showing up just also is like and her getting her own show. That's probably where they bring in like Rebel characters.
Yeah, that's where we'll probably get Ezra. I bet that'll literally be the plot. Is her trying to find Ezra or something.
Maybe.
Might
And
be a side plot.
it depends on when they want to have it take place.
Yeah, because if it takes place at the same time as Mandalorian, then it will have been 6 years after Return of the Jedi, I guess. People were saying, because we see Ahsoka at the end of Rebels, but it's like an epilogue kind of a thing after... It's an epilogue after Return of the Jedi, actually. I just completely lost my train of thought. And people were saying that the Ahsoka we see in Mandalorian takes place before that epilogue. So, like, after the events of Mandalorian, her and Sabine go off to go find Ezra, and that would be, like, where the Ahsoka show would start, which would be interesting, because that would mean we get to see Sabine in live action as well, which would be cool, because she has, like, the coolest Mandalorian armor. Stuff's awesome.
Yeah.
She's not a character. I don't know, I have problems with Rebels, but, like, I like those characters for the most part. Yeah, that was it.
But,
My friends and I Or, sorry.
You go.
My friend and I ended up theorizing a lot when Ahsoka first showed up, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, I wonder who else is gonna show up. I bet it's gonna be like Leia or Han." And I was like, "No, I know it's not gonna be them because Harrison Ford personally said that he doesn't want to do anything more with that, and he doesn't want any more involvement with it, kind of a thing." Which makes me think that he doesn't want his character to be shown anymore. Which, I mean,
yeah, fair enough.
I mean,
it's fair.
He wanted that guy dead after the second movie.
I remember that.
And then Leia, and I was like, I don't think they'll do that to Carrie simply because
No, they shouldn't.
And I was like,
For a
Luke is the
while.
only one I can see because Mark Hamill's still crazy about Star Wars, and he'd be like, heck yeah, man.
Mark Hamill's very nice to the fans.
Yeah.
He has a good balance of, like... He's found a good way of, like, treating the fan base with respect, but not letting them, like, walk all over him, you know?
Yeah.
I think he has a good balance there.
Yeah.
He definitely
Good
does.
mentality.
He knows how to give the fans, like, fan service,
Mm.
but he also knows, like, the line that shouldn't be crossed, and, you know, on both sides for fans treating him and him treating the fans.
Yeah,
And he knows how to, like, kind of get under this fans' skin and to kind of make them get excited again every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what the best part... Well, one of my... Okay, it's not one of the best parts. It's like a small thing, but it's something that I really enjoyed was... You guys know that, like, Rex shows up and, like, a few of the other clones, like, they show up in Rebels, like, still alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They retconned it so that in Return of the Jedi, one of the rebels, like, on the Forest of Endor is Rex. Like, he's there. Because there was this rebel that's, like, in Return of the Jedi who's got, like, a beard and stuff, right? And people were like, he looks kind of similar to Rex. Like, that's our headcanon. And then Filoni made that, like, canon so that Rex is around during,
That's
like,
awesome.
Return of the Jedi and
There
stuff.
it
It was
is.
so cool. I love that. This is just a small thing, but, like, it was nice.
I don't know if it's the same voice. I think it might be, but it's D. Bradley Baker, and he does the voice for all of the clones in the Clone Wars.
It's every single clone.
And I think he does, and I think he is the voice of Rex. I'm not entirely sure on it.
He does every
but
clone.
like it's, I'm like, oh,
Did they
I didn't know
bring-
that, and I saw that, and I was like,
Him back for Mandalorian, that one episode with the guy that wasn't he a clone?
Talking about Boba Fett?
No.
Bob the Fett?
The
Bob of the Hutt?
I can't remember the guy's name, but it's the guy that they broke out of prison, like in the scrapyard and everything like that. Was he a clone? I can't remember.
No, he's an ex-Imperial. He's just like
okay.
he was,
I
he
just
was
remember
not
him-
a stormtrooper. He was like an Imperial. Yeah.
I remember him saying something like, "Oh, they'll recognize my face," and it's like,
Yeah, just because he was like, I believe he was like a higher-ranking Imperial. Nothing like
oh, okay,
crazy, but he wasn't like an admiral or anything. But he was like up there in the ranks, like above stormtrooper. You know.
gotcha.
So.
Yeah, the gist I was just getting was like, he wasn't important, but like he had the
No.
face of other people, and so I was like,
Boba Fett's a clone. That's what the clones
Yeah.
look like. You know.
yeah.
I'm glad they got that actor back.
I know.
It was cool.
I saw that pop up, and I'm like, oh, they got him back.
Yeah.
Jango Fett's actor. What?
That's why Mandalorian's so nice, because they don't, like, if it was, like, I feel like in the sequel era, they kind of embraced it a little late, but, like, if it was, like, anything taking place in the sequel era, they would have just pretended that, like, Jango Fett and all that stuff didn't happen, but, like, Mandalorian, he's like, this was my dad, Jango Fett's armor, and he, like, says, like, the same stuff that Jango Fett. I don't know. It's just nice
Yeah.
to see them uniting
I
things, guess.
remember seeing those comparisons and whatnot. So
We're gonna wrap this up pretty soon, guys. This
Yeah.
has become a Star Wars podcast.
yeah,
we did
Yeah, we
Star
did it,
Wars
guys.
and a little bit of
it.
gaming.
Mia be damned. Yeah. All right.
we did it.
Haha, Mia,
what's
suck that.
a Star Wars quote we can say that
The Force be in you.
I don't think that's the quote.
do or do not? There is no try.
Give up.
I have the high ground.
Danica.
What are we gonna do? Master Skywalker, there's too many of them. What are we gonna do?
Do it.
Oh. Kylo, my favorite quote is when. Do you know what Kylo Ren said before he kicked Baby Yoda?
What? Yeet?
Yeah, I'm about to kick Baby Yoda.
Dude, look at this ugly
Watch me
little
kick
man.
Baby Yoda. Just imagine Kylo Ren shouting at Baby Yoda. What is that? What is that?
Why are you so ugly?
He's a baby, Ben. I don't like him. God.
I thought he was 50.
He is 50.
Oh yeah.
He's still a baby.
Baby Yoda's older than the Mandalorian.
But
Yeah.
he's like still got a baby mentality.
He's pretending.
Oh,
That guy-
100%.
That guy's a sick, twisted little he just likes it. He just likes being treated like a baby.
I
It's
know.
just-
Oh no, I'm gonna kink shame Baby Yoda.
He's been doing it for so many years. It's become his identity.
Oh man, I wonder if that makes Baby Yoda a cougar. Oh god.
Yeah. Okay. Well, goodbye.
Yeah.
Anyone want to say anything before we leave?
May the Force be with you.
Thanks for tuning in.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.